Eat your vegetables.
Yeah!
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 Fuck him up!
Yeah!
Yes! This is awesome! Yes! Where is all of the character development? What's up, all you chainsaw maniacs out there? Phat Samurai Guy here with Lady Fatblood, and today we're going to review the film Kong Skull Island. Here's a quick plot synopsis.
Man bad, Kong good, Kong smash!
Now, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review,
All over the
so go
place.
ahead and stop this video if you're interested. Go out and see the movie. Come right back.
Hey, guess what I wanted going into this?
What? What did you want?
I wanted Kong. I wanted Kong fighting monsters. Guess what I got?
What?
I got Kong fighting monsters.
Woohoo!
Guess what I didn't want?
What?
Too much time with the stupid people and the stupid irritating people kind. Guess what I didn't get?
What?
Too many irritating stupid people, Transformers style. Guess what? I like the movie. Fucking sue me. Okay, so in case y'all hadn't noticed, we kind of like us some Kaiju movies. Just about anything will do. I love the serious kind and I love the goofy kind. I love the first Godzilla back in 1954, the original, not the Americanized, bastardized version of it all. It's not terrible. I just give me the Japanese version.
Gogeta.
Yeah, give me the Japanese version. It's fine. Again, I like serious versions. The 1984 Godzilla was solid. Not my favorite of the bunch, but production value is fantastic. I enjoyed the 2014 American Godzilla. But I love me some goofy cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I love schlock.
It's fun.
I love, as dumb as the suits look, there is nothing better than a guy in a goofy rubber suit. And even though you don't get that these days, unless, you go to Japan and they're making Shin Godzilla over there, which we have not gotten to see yet because America, we just don't give a shit about good foreign cinema like we should. Anyway, yeah, we got lots of CG in this movie, but it didn't bother me. I felt like this was almost a throwback. It was the most bizarre hodgepodge of Apocalypse Now meets Kaiju, and it was glorious.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious!
It was such an odd juxtaposition of genres that I could not help but just have a fucking blast watching it. Our introduction to Kong himself was a tree being hurled at a helicopter and killing a bunch of guys. There were some really fun camera angles, like at the very beginning when you got the choppers flying around Kong and you got the camera circling around them. And every time we would go inside a helicopter, it would slow down and you'd see Kong, looking around. I love that shit. I dug it. The humans, everything about this movie reminded me of a schlocky 70s Godzilla film. The humans didn't matter. The plot didn't really matter. The plot was there just enough to give us a reason to go to Skull Island. The characters were just enough to give us peasants a conduit into why are we going to Skull Island. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was a better villain than this movie ever deserved. I really enjoyed how, with very little setup, you got exactly what his motivations were. He so easily could have been the Stephen Lang character from Avatar, where just military bad, nature good, military bad. It wasn't anything like that. You actually understood why he wanted to go to Skull Island. It was basically the end of the Vietnam War. You could tell that Samuel L. Jackson is a career military person. And the war, we were pulling out of the war, and he was angry because it's like, what have we been doing all this time? We've been dicking around. You've been wasting, what have we been doing? We have nothing to show for it. And you see him looking down at his medals and all his honors.
What
that
is
he's
it
gotten.
all for?
Yeah. And it was such very little setup. You already get his motivations.
He was all excited on the telephone too.
Yeah.
When it's just an escort mission.
Yeah.
It was just a babysit mission, but he was so happy to go on a mission.
Just to have something to do as a soldier. And, yeah, he's a dumb fucking. He got his men killed, but you understand why he has this vendetta against Kong. It's like, motherfucker, it's your fault that your guys got killed, but you understand why he's a motherfucker and why he's an idiot.
Yeah. Kong killed his men.
Yeah.
And he wants revenge. Simple. Not complicated.
I love the scene.
It's a kaiju movie.
I love the scene where you got the flames and Kong's looking at Samuel L. Jackson. You got the zoom into Samuel L. Jackson's eyes looking back at Kong, and it's like...
Oh, and he's just standing there looking at him, and Kong has both helicopters, and he slams both helicopters down right in front of him and just eyeballs them. That was great.
I loved it, and the characters, again, you got Tom Hiddleston, who plays Who the Fuck Cares? Anybody could have played this character. What I found fascinating was that you had A-list actors bringing their A-list game to this clearly B movie.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It worked.
For me, it worked. Not everyone's gonna like it. A lot of people, obviously we've seen the reviews.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been dumping on this movie.
Yeah.
And I
Super
get it.
dump.
I get it. I get it. Kaiju is not, especially this type of kaiju. There are different types of kaiju films out there. And this is definitely, again, the schlocky kind. And I think a lot of people tended to forget that you weren't necessarily supposed to take the Godzilla vs. King Kong seriously and the Godzilla vs. Megalon. Do you remember Godzilla vs. Megalon? There were Atlanteans who had their own monster that they had to get help from Gigan in outer space. They had to get help. That contact Gigan. We need him to help Megalon. Jet Jaguar. Okay, a teeny tiny robot built by humans who grows up into this giant kaiju-sized robot who is clearly an Ultraman ripoff. Because fuck you, we can get away with it. We can do it. Does anybody remember that we were not supposed to take that shit seriously?
That was all in the same movie, by the way.
But seriously, there comes a point where clearly, as much as I love those old schlocky Godzilla films, I don't take them seriously.
No.
And I don't feel that this was a film that we were supposed to give the gravitas that the 2014 Godzilla had. And if anything, I did feel that the 2014 Godzilla did capture the spirit and essence of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And so we had the serious 2014 Godzilla. I didn't want another Peter Jackson King Kong.
Yeah.
You have your original 1930s King Kong, and you have the Peter Jackson, which was clearly a loving tribute and remake of the original film. You don't need another version of that. I didn't want another serious King Kong version. I wanted a Kong that was willing to scrap, that was eventually going to go toe-to-toe with Godzilla now that Legendary's acquired all these rights for the stateside version of these characters. And it was exactly what I wanted. Yeah. We have a Kong that loves to fucking fight. And what I loved most of all was that about the third of the way through this film, I suddenly got all giddy and excited and I realized, oh my god, Godzilla and King Kong, yeah, they're gonna butt heads and they're gonna fight, but oh my god, they're gonna so team up. You know why? Because 2014 Godzilla, why did he exist? To fight. Why did he wake up and go after the Muta? To fight. Let them fight. So King Kong, he loves fighting these skull crawlers because they fuck up the environment. So guess what? We've got two iconic characters who love to scrap for the sake of scrapping. I couldn't be any happier. Go back and watch a 60s and 70s Godzilla film, and you tell me that motherfucker doing this and doing fight poses wasn't doing it because he enjoyed it, okay? You tell me that we were supposed to take Fight Pose Godzilla seriously, okay? Yeah. This was exactly what I wanted it to be. I didn't need a heavy-handed, serious, depressing, droning on and on type of film that we'd already had with the remake. Yeah. And what I really loved was that this was like a fast 2 hours for me. And as much as I enjoyed the production value that the Peter Jackson film had, it was a chore to get through sometimes because you had so much character development and all this following all these human characters that when Kong showed up, it was like, oh, thank God, can we get back to the main character of Kong? I actually felt like Kong was the main character in this movie.
Now, is there a little bit more of the emotional content with Kong in terms of relationship, the audience getting to know Kong a little bit more emotionally in the Peter Jackson one than this? Yeah.
Of course.
But like you said earlier, we don't want to see the same shit over and over again. We don't want to see Kong getting captured. Kong grabbing the female and she's screaming, ah! Kong climbing the damn building and Kong falling and dying. We don't want to see that. We've seen that a billion times already.
Yeah.
We want to see Kong be a fucking badass and kick ass. And that's what we got.
Yeah. So, you know, again, I can totally understand why people had such an issue, and if you had to dock it for being anything bad about it, it would be that this movie does not cater to everyone.
Yeah.
They made very little effort to give Kong an emotional reason to not kill the humans that were still running around the island.
Mm-hmm.
They did make an effort to put that out there with the Brie Larson character.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to save that giant water buffalo looking creature, and Kong sees that she tries to save it, and so he kind of like, you know, yeah, I get you.
He helps her and he, you know.
Yeah, you know.
He walks away.
And so they have their little moment. And again, a lot of people, I can already understand why a lot of people had such issue with the story and with the humans. But to that, I say, if you want a giant creature feature focusing more on humans, go watch your goddamn Michael Bay Transformers. And you want to know why I give Kong a pass and I don't give the Transformers a pass? Is because Kong Skull Island is 70% Kong fighting the baddies, where every single goddamn Transformer film is 10% Autobots versus Decepticons and 90% irritating as fuck human beings that I don't care about.
Yeah.
So if I have to take stock characters that aren't overly interesting, but they get the job done, I will take what I can get in this film.
All we wanted was fun. That's all we wanted. We just wanted to have a good time. Throw popcorn in our faces and have a good time. Yeah. And luckily, they didn't fail, in my opinion. They did not fail.
So while Samuel L. Jackson stole the film on the human side, he stole the film for me. Clearly, John C. Reilly was meant to be the closest thing to the heart of the human side of the stories. You have this situation where he is a pilot in World War II, and he crash lands after getting into a dogfight with the Japanese pilot, and both of them crash land onto Skull Island. And later on, you find out off screen that the Japanese guy died, but they were best friends, which we're told in expository form. And that was the thing with the John C. Reilly character, is that yes, he is expository man. And yes, he was comedic man. And no, not all of his jokes landed, but I defy anybody to show me a film where every single joke lands. I mean, comedy is hard. Comedy is a hard thing to get, and that type of sense of humor, that type of comedy that he had in this film, normally it wouldn't appeal to me, but I think it was just subtle enough.
Yeah.
And it was just a little crazy enough. Cause,
Yeah, it made sense because he was a little insane.
Yeah, he'd been on the island for, what, 30 years?
Yeah, I think so.
He had been on there since the, mid-40s. But, so yeah, that could wear a little thin sometimes, but again, you had to have some kind of expository dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason why they were there, everything made sense in its own way.
Yeah.
For Kaiju story standards, it was standard storytelling at its finest, where, well, we need a reason to go to Skull Island. Okay, well, we got this bad guy in John Goodman, who he's keeping it under wraps, the real reason he wants to go to Skull Island. And I love the Easter egg. I love the Easter egg. He was on a ship during the Korean War, and the ship was attacked, and they used a nuclear weapon to destroy whatever tried to attack the ship.
Oh, that's right.
And it was in 1954, and I'm like, oh my god! The nuclear attack, the nuclear bomb that they used to try to destroy Kong, that's the thing that created Godzilla. Oh my god, this is fucking... Okay, so yeah, I'm geeking out. Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, of course, John Goodman's character, he was kind of... They had a lot set up in him. Samuel L. Jackson, he had a gun to John Goodman's head because John Goodman lied to all of them to get them to the island. But John Goodman talked him out of it. He's like, we need proof that this thing exists in the first place. And so, Samuel Jackson changes his mind. But then John Goodman just kind of dies. He's just kind of like, oh dear.
That was a little weak.
A little bit.
I have to admit that. That was a little weak.
A little bit.
He deserved a little, bigger death or grander death.
Oh, and that's the thing. I felt like all of the characters that were there served the purpose that they needed to serve.
Yeah. We needed a photographer.
Yeah,
We got Brie Larson.
Yeah,
you
needed a Heart of the Soldiers.
Yeah.
Who was the Toby Kebbell character. I thought that the relationships that the soldiers had, it was good enough for the story they were trying to tell. And I don't know if a lot of people really care, but in this kind of a film, you have to make things as easy to follow, and you have to get it to just so that it does the job.
Yeah.
So that it does the job well enough. And again, for me, it was fun. It was one of the fastest 2 hours I've ever sat through. I loved Kong. I'm really glad that they didn't make him look like the Peter Jackson Kong. He kind of looks like the 30s Kong a little bit, just a little bit. I like his look though. He's got, he's got all the battle scars.
And the crazy thing was they mentioned that he's still growing.
Yeah, he's Baby Kong.
He's still growing.
I don't know how the fuck they're gonna explain him getting the size of Godzilla.
They're gonna have to do something.
I'm thinking either Godzilla is going to die in his sequel, and then they're gonna have Baby Godzilla, and Baby Godzilla is not gonna be overly huge, or Kong is just gonna be that fucking huge, and if that's the case, whatever city they decide to fight in,
done.
I hope you invest in some good insurance.
So we had a smile on our faces like the whole movie.
Yeah.
We were having a good time, smiling. As she said earlier, as soon as they arrive on the island in the helicopters, they're dropping bombs, trying to flush it out or whatever's there. And just out of nowhere, tree just launched. And as soon as the tree just came out of nowhere to come hit them, we were just like, oh shit. We were already like, the tree being launched out of nowhere set the tone for the rest of the movie. And it was great.
It really did.
And you get some pretty good, badass kaiju battles in this, man. I mean, how could you not get excited with that big finale fight? Where Kong's like, oh, well, fuck this motherfucker. I'm gonna grab this big ass tree over here and I'm going to scrape. He's that smart, okay? I'm gonna get the tree and scrape all the branches off. So I got a nice clean bat here and I'm gonna fucking hold it out like I'm a fucking samurai. And then just run up and baseball bat the shit. And just, oh man, like we were like, yes.
Yeah.
Chain wrapped around him with the big, with the boat propeller, and he's using that as weapons.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is what I wanted to see.
Can I just say also that I'm really happy. I was really scared when we saw the trailer initially for Skull Island, because the skull crawlers were very generic looking.
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
one of the things that I was kind of a little irritated with the 2014 Godzilla, aside from barely seeing Godzilla in his own goddamn film, was the Muta were a little generic.
Yeah,
I was not
little
very
bit.
I was not very thrilled with the Muta designs.
Yeah.
They were fine. They were stock.
Yeah.
But they weren't anything interesting. And again, with the skull crawlers, the look of the skull crawlers, it's a little generic.
Yeah.
But they ended up being pretty good fighters. And so we
Used
had
their
some
tails.
we had some good scrap, and you had that really fucked up moment where that one soldier that out of the blue decided that he was gonna sacrifice himself for the rest of the team for no reason
Oh yeah,
whatsoever.
that sucked.
And so he like has the grenades and all that shit. And the skull crawler just goes whoop and
Just tail whips him.
into a cliff and he blows up. Alright, so you had heard a little rumor that there was going to be no post-credit sequence because they decided to let the film focus on Kong himself, but just for shits and giggles we decided to stay.
Thank God.
And keep in mind that there were 3 of us in the theater together, and there were probably about 7 to 8, maybe 10 max other people in the theater. And so the 3 of us stayed till the end credits, and there were maybe 4 people somewhere that away. And me with my Godzilla with the Mothra shirt on. I'm sitting there, we stand up at this point, and post-credit scene comes up. The 2 main characters have been kidnapped, and they're in the Monarch Industries.
Yeah, they're being questioned.
Yeah, and you find out that it's Monarch. And then they proceed to say, yeah, Kong's not the only one. And you see the shadow they see this photo of the shadow of the Godzilla scales.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm already swearing my fucking little face off.
Yeah.
And I'm jumping up and down. And then they proceed to show what were they, like, kind of caveman style paintings of Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm screaming.
All of us.
And
all 3 of us were like, yes!
Very end of it all, you hear Godzilla roar.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Fuck yeah!
It was beautiful.
Fuck yeah!
beautiful.
Jumping up and down like a goddamn idiot.
Yeah.
Not giving a shit that the people in front of us are probably thinking, do we need to call the police? Didn't care.
All the other people were looking at us like we were crazy. They were all like, "What?
And we were.
What?
We
I
were.
don't get it. I don't understand. What are those monsters?" This movie's not for you.
No.
Okay? This movie was made for us.
For us.
Just us two.
For us idiots.
So we give Kong Skull Island 4 out of 5 chainsaws. That's it for today's episode. Let us know what you guys thought of Kong Skull Island in the comments below. And we'd like to thank all you guys for watching. You guys rock, and we'll see you next time.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.